Hey guys, how's it going? Shakiel Mahjouri. You can call me Shaq here for FanSided MMA. And today we have something a little different for you, something that came as a surprise to me. And we have Ruquet here, man. He will be competing at Copa Combate 2 on December 7th in Fresno, California. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Listen, this came as a bit of a surprise because when I was getting together this interview with you, you were supposed to be the alternate on this one night, 3-fight featherweight tournament. And just today I get word that you're being bumped up right into the main tournament. How did that all come about?
Well, I got the alternate position about 3 weeks ago, and about a week and a half ago or so, I got told that someone got bumped out, and then I was gonna get a spot in, so I took it right away.
Now, your opponent, Bruno Canetti, I was just comparing records, and it seems like you've actually got a pretty impressive resume compared to some other people on this card. Why do you think you weren't placed in the immediate tournament to start with?
It's not my weight class. I normally fight at 135.
Now, so you were announced as an alternate later on. Why did you make the decision to switch weight classes and prepare yourself to be in this tournament?
I started my career at 145. I could care less. You know, I'm debating on doing a 3 division. Going for 125, 135, and 145 for Combate. So I win this tournament, I'm gonna say screw it and just take the belt in all 3 divisions.
That is a sentiment that you're hearing from a lot of people these days, from the UFC to Bellator and apparently to Combate Americas. Do you think you're, counting your chickens before they hatch here, or what is the motivation to accomplish so much so soon?
I used to hold 145 and 35-pound titles at the same time. During my amateur career. I have, just in my amateur career alone, I got 32 fights, and then I got 7 fights pro. I might have the smaller pro record, but as far as experience comes, I feel like I got the most.
How are you feeling about this one-night tournament? Is this something you've ever done before?
Yeah, my first fight I've ever done was 7 fights in 2 days, and that was for an Oklahoma State title.
And how does it feel? What is the difference between preparing for, a one-off fight versus having to prepare yourself to not only fight multiple people, but multiple times? How do you approach the fights differently to make sure that you're going to be ready to go through multiple opponents?
I don't really care, honestly. I'm just ready to go. It could be they could throw in another guy at the end. After I win the 145-pound Combate, they can throw another 135-pound Copa Combate the same night. I'll do it.
You have a really interesting I'm not gonna say persona because I imagine it is who you is, but interesting character. You seem to understand that carrying yourself a certain way brings a little bit more attention to you. And I think the first photo of you I saw online, you were flipping the bird at the camera guy.
Yeah.
Some people might consider that disrespectful. What's your mindset on it?
Whoever signs to fight me in the cage, I have no respect for until after the fight's over. Them signing that contract or them stepping in the cage with me, they think that they can beat me. And in doing that, they're taking food and money away from my family. I have no respect for someone who's trying to do that. So if they want my respect, respect's earned, not given.
You hear that from a lot of fighters. How did your perspective on MMA and fighting change once you had a family to now feed?
I think it's always been the same. I've been the same. I've been fighting since I was a little kid in elementary school. I've always been getting in trouble, so it's almost destined for me to get paid for it.
I saw something you posted on Instagram. You were kind of training with your son. May I ask how old your son is?
Yeah, I got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
So was that I just brushed by. Was that the 6-year-old you're training with? I imagine, not the 3-year-old.
Yeah, that was a 6-year-old.
I am notoriously horrible at guessing children's ages. If you're 3 or 4, I think you're 10. If you're 2, I think you're a newborn. It's all messed up to me. You said that you love sharing your passion for MMA with your kid.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me because I find a lot of fighters just like with actors and professions where uh, the likelihood of success and financial security is pretty low, they almost try and keep their kids away from that sort of stuff. Why is it that you are so supportive of your kids' martial arts journey, and would you support him if he were to take up an MMA career?
I would much rather him stay away from the fight career. I
Hmm.
want him to learn how to fight, learn how to defend himself, and learn the arts, learn how the respect and the honor part of it, and the disciplinary part. Um, but the career itself, it's a lot of heartbreak, there's a lot of sacrifices, there's a lot of pain, and it's not something I want for my son. He's very, very athletic already for his age, very good hand-eye coordination. My wife's dad is one of the coaches for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'd rather him just go to baseball.
Wow. What would you say is probably the biggest personal sacrifice you have to make for an MMA career? Because it is not all glitz and glamour.
Uh, Time. The only time I have with my son, I'm in the gym.
Hmm.
He's always in the gym with me, but I don't have the time to spend it with him. When I do have the free time outside of the gym, I'm beat, torn, tired, and I can't spend that quality time. So it's really hard to build that relationship for me. But I mean, he feels the love. He feels everything. He loves me so much. Misses me when I'm gone. I feel like I could do so much more, but I got to make those sacrifices to be where I want to be.
And hopefully those sacrifices lead you to a big payday, because the grand prize at the end of this tournament is $100,000.
Yeah.
As a fighter, especially with sort of the changing landscape of MMA, before we get into the money, what is your career goal? Because at one point, it seemed like everyone's goal was, I'm going to be a UFC champion. It seems to be diversifying now. There are different reasons that people want to be fighters, whether it's the finances, the glory, the records. What is your goal in MMA? What do you want to leave behind?
I just love to fight. If I love it, like that's what it has to be about. I can't just fight for the money. If I
Hmm.
feel like, ooh, this $100,000, I gotta get it. I gotta get out of debt. Then what am I fighting for? The money? I gotta fight for myself. I gotta love what I do. I have to have a passion for it and a drive for it. You know, uh, Fighting has saved me in a lot of ways. I've been through too much. Winning $100,000, for the past couple months, me and my wife have been donating plasma for money just to get by because
Wow.
it's been rough. I've been homeless. I've had nothing. I've lost my wife and kid for 2 years. Uh, I This is all I had at one point was fighting. This is all I had left. This is all I held on to. So stepping in here it's my domain. It's my home. And the cage is my house. Anybody who steps in there, they're not competing. I'm not here to compete. I'm here to fight. I'll give my last breath in the cage. I know when I'm preparing for a fight, I go through some emotional trials. I do tear up because I'm willing to die inside that cage. Other people are not. They're willing to survive and just compete and get their hand raised, get some payday. You know, I think about it as back in the day in the gladiators, only one person was going to walk out. And I have that mindset when I go in those cages. And I'm willing to leave my life in that cage.
I guess this might be a good transition then. I'd like to ask you about those bullet hole tattoos on you, because the first time I saw them, I thought you were just bleeding. Whoever did that did a great job. But can you tell me a little bit about what inspired those tattoos?
I was involved in a shootout and didn't get hit, but where I was standing, I went to, after the shooting was over, I went back to where people were shooting, and the sunlight was shining through the holes, and they were right on my stomach and chest. So I got those tattoos as a reminder that I could have been gone.
May I ask what sparked the shooting?
um, Wrong place, wrong time.
Hmm.
hanging out with bad people.
Has MMA or your I guess my first question it would be, are you still living a lifestyle that could get you in that sort of situation?
No, I was locked up when I was 16
Hmm.
for trying to shoot somebody, and when I got out, I met Ron Beliveau, who is a Dutch kickboxer. He was the first American to ever fight in K1, and I met him when I was just a kid, and I fell in love with the martial arts, and I just haven't stopped since. And I got away from that lifestyle. I started working in mechanics at the age of 17. Built my first car. Built my first car was a 1978 Chevy Nova. Built it from scratch, and I moved to Vegas when I was 19 with just $1,000 in my pocket, no car, no job lined up, just a dream to be a fighter, and I turned that dream into a reality. I have a house, I have a motorcycle. I used to walk 20 miles a day for a job interview
Wow.
and burning holes through my shoes until I can save up to get a bicycle, and then I was riding a bicycle 20 miles a day to and then right to training 2 times a day on top of working 60 hours a week. And then right when I felt like I was getting somewhere, uh, I lost everything. I lost my wife, lost my son. They went back to Florida. I was homeless, living in the gym, and I felt like I had nothing left, and except for fighting. So I held on to what I had left, and just sometimes I felt like I was in the wrong path, but
Hmm.
I didn't ever stop. I never stopped, and I feel like I see some light. I see an opportunity. I see something, and I've been feeling something's gonna happen. I just signed recently with new management with Primetime 360. Um, I became sparring partners with Chris Cyborg, training over at RVCA
Wow.
the week. Training, I got to spar with Aaron Pico, Don Mage, Chris Cyborg, of course, I mentioned her. You know, hanging out with Tito Ortiz, Rafael dos Anjos, and they say birds of a feather flock together. And I left a life of crime to hang out with life of champions, and I feel it will manifest itself into reality.
Well, you seem to be surrounding yourself, like you said, with winners. So, fingers crossed that translates. What is it about martial arts that can bring the best out of people and kind of pull them out of their dark places? Because to tie it into something else that's happened the same weekend, Brian Ortega's fighting at UFC 231, and
Yeah,
he's someone else who came from a rough background.
yeah.
Why do martial arts help so many people?
Some people don't know how to channel their rage. Some
Hmm.
people hold it in. You don't know if they're an explosive person or an implosive person. And I feel that, you know, hitting the bag, hitting pads, you know, being disciplined can really help someone channel their anger or rage or like anything like that. I mean, I know people who are lawyers who have a well-paid job. They don't even fight. They just come in the gym to release the stressful week. You
Hmm.
know, I feel like if it's not your passion to get punched in the face, you don't have to get punched in the face. But what's wrong with hitting something? Release it. You're human. Why get in trouble on the streets trying to punch someone in the face so they can just, oh, I'm suing you, and
Yeah.
you hit someone wrong, they fall, they
Hmm.
die. I've been jumped. I've been in bad situations, man. I've gunshots, knife fights, people coming from all kinds of angles, and at 17 years old, that gym saved my life. It gave me a path of opportunity.
Listen, to wrap things up here, I'd love to change the pace for just a second. What do you do in your time off? It's been very clear that you live and breathe in the gym, but any kind of music you like, any movies we should check out? What have you been up to outside of the fighting life?
So I was a chef at a kosher Israeli restaurant. I've been on Channel 7, Channel 13 Sports because I was a fighter as well. I was becoming pretty well known slowly as a chef. I was going to be on guys' grocery games, but it ended up being a distraction to me
Hmm.
for my career. I came to Vegas to be a fighter, not a chef. So I stopped being a chef, and now I'm a cook over at Maggiano's, just working part time to make it by with the bills,
Yep.
so that I can train full time. And as far as my spare time, I do tattoos for fun. You know, I tattoo my wife and roommates here and there. I tattoo myself. Um, I like to build things. I like to go camping. I love fishing. I love spending time with the wife and kids when I can. You know, whether it's going to a park, going somewhere random. I love riding my motorcycle with the wife. Anything that's not involved in the house, I'm down.
You just don't want to be trapped in the room, right?
I was locked up for too long in a six
Yeah.
by eight cell. I want to be free.
Get some fresh air, man. Well, listen, best of luck to you, Joey Ruquet. Let me say this one more time. Joey Ruquet,
Yes.
you take on Bruno Canetti at Copa Combate 2 featherweight tournament on December 7th in Fresno, California. Best of luck, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.